Throughout the long history of Pokemon, there have been over 800 Pokemon discovered up until now, including 81 legendaries. But there is a question that has confused players for a long time coming. Which Pokemon is the strongest that has ever existed in the Pokemon games? But because Pokemon have weaknesses, it's impossible to only select one strongest Pokemon. I mean in the game, not in the anime. Because some settings in anime are kind of weird. Arceus and Necrozma being able to create and revive the world, but getting knocked out by some meteors. Especially Arceus almost being done in from humans using Mercury. So in this video, I will select 9 Pokemon that are so strong that even GameFreak had to weaken them. In addition, these 9 different Pokemon won't include any legendaries. That's because the only positive of legendaries is their stats just being a little higher than regular Pokemon. But in-game, these 9 Pokemon will definitely not be any weaker than legendaries. If we don't count Mewtwo, the strongest Pokemon in the first generation has to be Tauros. At that time, there was no physical special split in Pokemon yet. Normal type moves were all considered to be part of the physical moves category, including the move Hyper Beam. And Tauros is also a normal type Pokemon, so there's a 1.5 times damage multiplier whenever it uses a normal type move. Also in the first generation, Hyper Beam is different from the Hyper Beam right now. At the time of Gen 1, after a Pokemon uses Hyper Beam and knocks out an opponent, it doesn't have to rest one turn. Instead, you can use it again. At the time, there wasn't much Pokemon that could take a Hyper Beam from Tauros. If Tauros is used effectively and an enemy only has one Tauros, but your team's physical defense is pretty bad, it's pretty much GG. If you think Tauros is just this strong, you're sadly mistaken. During the first generation, Tauros could also learn the ice move Blizzard. And in Gen 1, Blizzard's accuracy isn't 70 like it is now. Instead, the accuracy was 90. With the move Blizzard, Dragon-type Pokemon stood no chance. If it's against Water-type Pokemon, Tauros can counter with Thunder. Combined with a speed stat of 110, in Gen 1 when it comes to attacking, Tauros is the perfect design. Now let's just imagine if Ash actually used the 30 Tauroses that he caught. The anime probably would have already ended. Tyranitar, the dark history of Godzilla. Having the stats of a pseudo-legendary Pokemon, combined with the ability of Sandstorm, Tyranitar is absolutely the MVP from the 2nd generation up until the 5th generation. Although it has a lot of weaknesses, from an attacking standpoint, if Sandstorm were to remain in effect, Tyranitar is a perfect glass cannon. By now though, the effect of its Sandstorm has been reduced to only 5 rounds, but Tyranitar is still very useful. And funny enough, in the anime, Ash released his Larvitar before fully evolved into a Tyranitar. I can see why he struggles to become the champion. Snorlax, Curse and Rest. These 2 moves can make you quit the game. Although in the first generation, Snorlax couldn't surpass Tauros, in the 2nd generation, Snorlax's usage went up to 90%, meaning almost every person had a Snorlax on their team. In the 2nd generation, Snorlax can constantly enhance its abilities by using the move Curse. The only type it is weak to is the fighting type, but in the 2nd generation, all the fighting moves were considered to be physical. This was pretty bad because the move Curse allows you to increase your physical defense. And through the move Rest allowing you to recover HP whenever necessary, Snorlax had pretty much become the ultimate shield. Even up until now with the Belly Drum and Dynamax combo, you'll be surprised to learn that Snorlax isn't just a shield. It can also become a tanky ADC that can make you rage quit. Breloom. Pokemon with a speed stat lower than 70 don't have Pokemon rights. In the 5th generation, Breloom can almost become invincible. And this achievement is only based on one move, the move called Spore. This move, other than grass-type Pokemon or Pokemon wearing safety goggles, can make a Pokemon sleep 100% of the time. 100% fall into sleep. God damn. Compared with Spore, Sleep Powder only has a 75% accuracy to make a Pokemon fall asleep. Usually, the Pokemon that know how to use this move are all pretty weak, but Breloom is totally different. It has a special ability called Poison Heal, which allows it to recover 1/8 of its maximum HP at the end of each turn, instead of taking damage. If your speed stat is lower than 70, or you accidentally don't faint Breloom in one round, you will face hell, my friend. Usually, trainers will use Breloom like this. At first, they will make Breloom use Spore to make the opposing Pokemon fall asleep. Then, Breloom will spam Substitute to protect itself, and use Poison Heal to recover its HP. Why are mushroom users so evil? Talonflame. If you can't beat it in one round, you can probably never beat it again. The reason Talonflame is on our list is because of its special ability, which is Gale Wings. If you use any flying type moves, you are guaranteed to be able to use it first. If you give Talonflame items that can enhance flying type moves, then it can become a powerful war machine. When you're full HP, you can use unlimited Brave Birds. When you have low HP, you can use unlimited Roosts. It's like an F-22 with a refueling plane nearby. But because of how broken it was, after the 7th generation, GameFreak nerfed Gale Wings, only allowing you to use it when the user has full HP. Mega Kangaskhan. Bear cubs are way more powerful than mama's boys. Normal RPG turn-based battles usually involve a turn-by-turn combat system. But how come when I use one move, you can use 2? Although the second hit is only 0.5 times weaker than the first, The more important usage is the effect of your move, not the damage. You see, the effect of your moves also has a 2x bonus, as you can hit them twice. Like the move Bite, the percent of the opposing Pokemon flinching is doubled. The move Fire Punch also has double the chance of burning the opponent. Not just this, with the move Power Up Punch, you can increase your attack by 2 stages. This is pretty much a physical version of the Tsundere Superior. And not to mention the increase in attack and defense after Mega Evolving. It's very hard to see any Pokemon that can go toe-to-toe with it. But because of how OP it was, GameFreak decided to reduce the power of the baby's hit to be only 0.25 times the power of the mother's, but it is still a very powerful Pokemon. Incineroar, sacrificing its cuteness for huge power. In Generation 7, it's the most useful Pokemon in double battles. This means that it beats Primal Kyogre, Primal Groudon, and Mega Rayquaza in usage, so it just shows how powerful it is. Firstly, it has pretty good endurance, and its special ability, which is Intimidate, can decrease the opposing Pokemon's physical attack. At the same time, it also knows how to make the opposing Pokemon flinch with the move Fake Out. This move always goes first, so even though its speed isn't the fastest, it can still stop opponents for one turn. Although it doesn't sound that strong, combined with the move U-turn, it can go back to the party whenever it needs to, and come back to re-intimidate both opponents. At the same time, it can also learn the move Snarl, damaging the opponent and reducing the opposing Pokemon's special attack stat. Not just this, it can also learn the move Knock Off, which can remove an opposing Pokemon's item, a very important benefit in competitive battling. It also has a unique Z move called Malicious Moonsault, which deals very high damage, making him both a support and a fighter. In double battles, it is especially invincible. But it seems that it's so broken that in the 8th generation, GameFreak had to remove the move Knock Off from its move pool. Mimikyu. Finally, in terms of popularity, it beat Pikachu. If Incineroar were to be the best Pokemon in double battles, then Mimikyu would have to be the best Pokemon for single battles. This is just because of its special ability Disguise, which can perfectly defend against a damaging move, no matter how powerful the move is. This is especially effective when it holds a Focus Sash, pretty much giving Mimikyu 3 lives. During these 3 lives, Mimikyu can use the move Swords Dance, which greatly increases its attack power, becoming a terrifying war machine. But because this special ability was too powerful, it was nerfed by GameFreak in Generation 8. Now, if it loses its Disguise, it will lose 1/8 of its HP. This sadly means that it won't have 3 lives anymore. By the way, in the anime, Mimikyu was always jealous of the popularity of Pikachu, so that's the reason why it wears a Pikachu rag. But because of its combination of being cute, a little bit scary, and quite pitiful, it successfully got a lot of votes from fans, and now in the 2020 most popular Pokemon list, it got 3rd place. And Pikachu didn't even make the top 10. And finally, we have Shedinja. Throughout all 807 Pokemon, it is probably the most special of all. It doesn't matter how many generations have gone by, Shedinja, Ditto, and Smeargle, these 3 Pokemon will never leave the competitive stage. Although Shedinja only has a 236 base stat total, and it only has 1 HP, because of its special ability, Wonder Guard, only super effective moves can damage it. And because its typing is Bug and Ghost, the only types of moves that are super effective against it are Flying, Rock, Ghost, Fire, and Dark. But these types of moves are pretty popular during battle, so this Pokemon requires very skilled players to utilize it fully. If your team has 1 Shedinja, the other 5 Pokemon are usually all supports, and the main strategy would be centered around it. With the move Protect, it can defend against anything. Through the moves Toxic and Will-O-Wisp, it can cripple enemy teams. It is mainly used to make enemies cringe in disgust. But if the weather effects Hail or Sandstorm is active, its use is nothing more than giving enemy Pokemon experience. Therefore, it is one of the most challenging Pokemon to use. These Pokemon are only a few of the strongest, like Darkrai and its Dark Void, and Landorus in its Therian form. These 2 Pokemon can make any player depressed because of their strength. But I have to say, I've always admired GameFreak's battle system. Although Pokemon's plot and design are pretty simple, the battle system in Pokemon compared to other RPG games is pretty much perfect. They never have the so-called strongest Pokemon because every Pokemon has its own strengths and weaknesses. And having a new type in Pokemon, Mega Evolution, and Dynamax being released in recent years, some weak Pokemon before have become very powerful. Just like the Pokemon Mawile. Before Generation 6, its type was only Metal, and its stats were very low. Metal Pokemon with low stats are very difficult to use. But now, after it has a new Fairy typing as well as a Mega Evolution, whose special ability is Huge Power, it successfully went from Bronze to Challenger. Strong Pokemon won't always remain powerful. Just think about it. Arceus almost got done in by Mercury, Rayquaza almost got crushed by human technology, and Kyogre was fished up by a little girl. So I think the strongest Pokemon of all are actually humans.